Welcome to this week Inside Sim Racing, April 28th edition. I'm Jessica Lopez, and with me is
Sean Cole.
And this week in Sim Racing is sponsored by iRacing.com, where you can get 3 months for the price of one by going to our website, InsideSimRacing.tv.
Or there's a thread in our forum that takes you over to GT Planet, where there's a list of all the promo codes that iRacing has available. So a lot of different offers, different cars, different tracks, different time periods available.
Something for everybody.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of iRacing, they have some big news this week. They've released their second build of 2012. It includes some new content as well as some updates. We'll have more on that later on the show. In addition, we'll be covering the Touring Pro Series. We have the rFactor 2 lifetime license to give away. We revisit the VRC 1000 racing rig. We check out an app for Android phones called Dash Meter Pro. We have Sim Rig of the Week, and we also have John Hill's rear view mirror, as well as some Gran Turismo 5 DLC to give away at the end of the show. So we're going to start things off with iRacing, who has released their second build of the year, which we mentioned just a moment ago. They release 4 new builds every year, and this is their second, and it comes with a new car to all members.
And a new track. And the car is one that I personally love. It's the Cadillac CTS V Coupe, and this is the race car version, and I just love it. It is heavy, it's powerful, it's a lot of fun to drive.
The new track that they've released is the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. It offers 3 road course layouts as well as a 1.5 mile oval that has 10 degrees of banking. It also offers night lighting on the road courses.
On top of the new car and track, they made some significant changes to the sim overall with some sound and graphical enhancements. The new tire model has been added to the K&N iRacing National Car, which is basically a 2009 nationwide car with a little bit less horsepower.
And just in time for the Indy 500 next month, a new tire model has been added to the Dallara IndyCar. Looks like all those IndyCar drivers will be back to the drawing board. And speaking of which, are you guys running that this year?
It's still up in the air. It doesn't look like we're going to run it. I got to admit, this is not my favorite car track combo. I love the car track combo. I'm just not very good at it. I have a tendency to slam the wall. For Darren, who actually is very good at Indy, he has a conflict. He's got a volleyball game tournament he's going to be at, so it doesn't look like he's going to make it. But this is all going on May 26th, and then following it, you've got the Charlotte 600. So a lot of racing going on that day.
Okay, well, next up on the show is something we talked about a while back, and it's the Touring Pro Series. And this Saturday, the 28th, is the season opener in the virtual V8 Supercar Series. The race will be broadcast and recapped for everyone to check out.
Very cool. You know, you had over 90 drivers qualify for that event, and that includes some of the biggest names in sim racing, like Peter Casa, who, gosh, it's been a couple years since we covered him on the show, but a known alien. David Greco, another fantastic driver, known alien. So you've got big, huge names competing, a lot of guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Check out their V8 Supercar Series and the other 5 series that they'll be running in the future. Head on over to touringproseries.com. We'll also be covering them frequently in our new Race Hub section of our site.
Very cool. And if you have a top league out there and you have recaps or broadcasts going on, then go ahead and contact us. Send an email over to Darren at InsideSimRacing.tv, and we'd love to cover it there in our section. And we can't actually do the recaps for you, but we'd like to cover the recaps that you produce yourself.
Okay, well, next up, we had a little contest in our last episode, and that was to name 3 drivers who are running our logos in the night racing team in the FSR series. The winner will get a lifetime code for rFactor 2. We had a total of 54 entries, and we just pretty much picked a number. I picked a number, which is my favorite number, and that was 33. And that winner is Neverender 158, who has been a member of our forums since January of this year. Congratulations.
Very active member, a lot of posts from that guy.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what the answers were to that particular contest, it was fairly easy.
It was way too easy.
All you had to do was go to the Night Racing website, and they had the drivers listed right there. There was 5 of them.
nightracing.tripod.com.
And there was 5 drivers there, and it was David Gaspers, Edward Core, Michael Gray, Milan Radivojevic, and Brian Walker. We have another contest today at the end of the show, and that'll be giving away some Gran Turismo 5 downloadable content, so stay tuned for details on how you can win that. Next up is one of my favorite parts of the show, and that's Sim Rig of the Week, and it's sponsored by TamiyaUSA.com, makers of the finest models and RC cars and trucks on the planet. go to tamiyausa.com. This week's Sim Rig of the Week comes to us from our forums via Pahamaku, and it's obviously a labor of love. Must have taken forever to build. It's a replica of a real Formula One cockpit, including a custom-built steering wheel that is just like the real wheel in the Honda F1 cars. Forming and fitting it into a real F1 shape, then came some very extensive wiring for the insane amount of controls within just the wheel itself. There are buttons, dials, and switches all built into this wheel. Also built into it is a rev bar, a gear indicator, speedometer, and fuel gauge. It looks like it might even be multifunctional and can switch to different displays.
The rig was also built from scratch and looks like the type of cockpit a real F1 team would use as a simulator. It has the upper part of the canopy that goes in after the driver along with a pull-off wheel. There are additional buttons inside the cockpit mounted to the dashboard, finishing off that real F1 feel. The entire rig is built upon caster wheels so that it can be moved around easily. It just goes to show you that with some proper planning and dedication, anyone could have something right out of the F1 paddock.
Thank you, Pahamaku, for posting this very nice rig. Very well done. That's going to wrap up the first half of the show. When we return, we have the VRC 1000, rear view mirror, and Dash Meter Pro. Stay tuned and we'll see you then.
Take your hobby to the next level with a quality racing rig that works great with a PS3, Xbox 360, and a PC. The GT Omega Racing Simulator is compatible with a wide range of steering wheels including Logitech, Fanatec, Thrustmaster, and more. The GT Omega is available now worldwide by going to www.gtomegaracing.com.
Welcome back to This Week Inside Sim Racing, and as you can see, we're sitting here with the VRC 1000, a rig that has been featured on the show before, and we've decided to give it a revisit and a rescoring, right?
Absolutely. We actually got a package from them with some new parts, as well as when we were building the Death rig, the Deathmobile, in that black hole that is under my Z, we actually found some boxes that included some parts that we missed. So this is kind of embarrassing, but we actually, in our original review, we didn't have the monitor stand, we didn't have the PlayStation mount, and like you said, they sent us a new steering yoke, which included a new T500 mount as well.
And they also sent us this new mount for this Thrustmaster shifter, and how does this change the rig?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, Darren gave this rig a 7 because it didn't fit him very well, and it mostly came down to this steering yoke, and it was so tight that his feet wouldn't fit in. So with the new steering yoke, it allows plenty of room to fit the Thrustmaster pedals in, but we did have to take off the little gate so you won't be able to invert them. And it also allows enough room for like Darren's foot. So it drastically changed his 7 right out of the gate.
And how's the stability of the monitor now that the stand has been built up?
You know, I'm not the biggest fan of monitor stands built into the rig because they do have a tendency to move with the rig. This is a very large, very substantial rig, and it's very sturdy, so you do get some movement, but it's pretty minimal and it doesn't keep shaking when you're done steering. And while I'm on the topic of the monitor stand, I gotta tell you, this is a very unique design and it's very cool. It came with these little brackets that you put on the back of the monitor. It would work with any monitor, and then it just interlocks with this. So we took the monitor off that easily, and it's easy to move it around, easy to remove it, and works real well.
Okay, we mentioned earlier that the scoring has drastically changed. Originally, this rig came in a 7 on the Rev Scale score, and the new score is?
Well, before I even get to the new score, I gotta tell you, I gave it a 9. Darren loved this rig so much he wanted to give it a 10, but because it wasn't fitting, it dropped him to a 7. The changes, it totally fits Darren. As you can see, it fits me great. I did a Cadillac race in it last night. Totally comfortable, totally stable. And that's brought the score all the way up to a 9. And I gotta tell you, we were both dying to give it a 10 because it's just such a cool looking rig.
All right, so you gave it a 9. You mentioned that you wanted to give it a 10. Obviously, there's some small minor flaws that prevented you from doing that. What are those flaws?
A couple of them. Number one, as well as this shifter mount works, it is in a very fixed location. I cannot adjust the height, I cannot move it forward or backward. So depending on where the seat is, that might not be the right space for you, and that's something I would like to see change. The other is the foot area is still a flat, and you can't adjust the rake on the foot area, so that kind of is something else I'd like to see change. And I use it, as you can see, I'm kind of a little more laid out with its design, and usually in that position, you're gonna want the pedals at a little bit of an angle.
All right, well there it is, a solid 9 on our rev scale. We'd like to thank Matt Cunningham for sending us the extra parts over at Carriage Works. Head on over to www.cwgrills.com. Next up on the show, we have a good friend, John Hill, and he's back with his segment, Rear View Mirror. We haven't had him on the show for a while, and he's here to tell you all about where he's been.
In a perfect world, we would all have all the time we could ever want and sim race to our heart's content. Now, if we actually did that, nonstop sim racing 24 hours a day, we would probably develop paralysis of some kind. Our eyeballs would pop out of our sockets, our wives and girlfriends would leave us, and the family dog would stop licking our face. So we all need a balance between sim racing and real life. Now, I had to deal with that on April 4th, this year of 2012, when I had my 3rd back surgery. Now, I was worried that I was going to have to miss a few weeks in the 4 series that I was running on iRacing. But on April 7th, Saturday, I ran 2 radical races, 1 Riley Daytona prototype endurance race, and 1 rookie classed fixed oval race. That's exactly 4 days after spinal surgery. Even I was surprised, and nobody is ever going to say that I am not a dedicated sim racer. Now, I love my Bob Roll Mark II sim rig, but being the low slung rig that it is, it did make ingress and egress a little tougher than I would have liked. So I had fun imagining myself as the Brian Bedford character in that great movie Grand Prix, where I'm seriously injured and I'm having to get in and out of my vintage BRM Formula One racer. Well, that's all behind me now, in my rear view mirror actually, and I look forward to many years of sim racing without pain. A big shout out to my surgeon, Dr. John Reagan, Mission Community Hospital in Panorama City, where I stayed in this room, and to my friend here, Jason, who loves playing Forza on his Xbox, and we had a great time talking about how much we love to sim race. Until next time, I'm John Hill, and I hope to see you in my rear view mirror.
Great to have John Hill back on the show for his 3rd edition of Rear View Mirror.
I gotta say, I'm just kind of blown away by medical science and by John's dedication. He had back surgery. 2 days later, the guy's in the cockpit racing, which shows you
Pretty amazing.
what kind of nuts we all are.
All right, well, next up is time for this Dash Meter Pro that Sean will be showing you here momentarily. And it is an app for Android phones that works as a display, very similar to what we've had on the show in the past, and Darren has back here on his rig as the Z-Sim display, except if you have an Android phone, all you have to do is download the app. And you're going to tell everyone all about it.
Absolutely. The Dash Meter Pro is designed for use with rFactor as well as their latest version for iRacing. It will turn an Android device into a real-time dashboard display, much like other variations that we have seen on the show. The dash display has plenty of information all at once. It shows RPM both in the form of a number as well as a light bar, a gear shift indicator, lap times, split times, fuel, oil, water, lap number. It also shows G-forces, throttle and brake indicators, car position, and differentials. It also has touchscreen capabilities and records telemetry. It will save as many as 50 laps, and you can analyze 15 different parameters. I happen to have an Android phone, and I would be a download away from having a dash display on my machine. The first thing I had to do was get it running, and that was downloading the app from the Google Play Store. The iRacing version costs $6.90 and the R-Factor version goes for $5.20. I also need to download and install Dash Meter Com from www.sensadigit.com, as well as download and install Microsoft Visual C++ Redistributable on my PC. Then I had to connect my phone to the wireless at my home and fire up Dash Meter Pro. I can then go to the Settings tab and the Help menu and have it tell me my IP address. Then I go back to my PC, open the preferences.ini file within the Dash Meter software and change the IP to reflect my phone. Start up iRacing and we will immediately and rather magically have a connection between my game and phone. As I step on the throttle, the tack bar lights up brightly. Drop it into gear and the gear indicator immediately shows first gear. I found the Dash Meter Pro to be very responsive and have little or no lag at all. It's running through my wireless, so at times there could be a little interference, but I haven't had any. The information that is being displayed is laid out well and can be used by the driver on the fly. With the touch of the touchscreen, it will switch to its secondary display showing lap time position. I also love that at the bottom, it actually shows your position on track as well as the other cars on track at the same time. Now, not only is the Dash Meter giving you live information, but it is also recording telemetry as you go along. When back in the pits, you can look through certain details lap by lap to see how things looked. You can check on steering input, throttle and brake input, drift, gears, and several other parameters that are being recorded. You can even overlay one lap over another to compare them both. We have used several other versions of displays here on the show before, and this one is very easy and also very inexpensive provided that you already have an Android type device. That can be a phone or a tablet. Now let's go over some of the pros and cons real quick. Starting off with the cons is that it only works on Android devices, no iPads and no regular displays. The next con is that if you don't have an Android, it makes it rather expensive when including a phone or a tablet. Another con is that you will need a wireless connection to make it work. And the last con is the lack of documentation showing you how to use all of its cool features. And now let's move on to the pros. If you already have an Android phone like me, it is very inexpensive. Another pro is that if the directions at the website are followed, it is very easy to set up and to use. Something else that I love about the Dash Meter Pro is the live position indicator located on the bottom of the screen. This is a huge add-on for an iRacing driver. Another pro is giving you a virtual dash when driving certain cars that don't show a dash, or when you're running in triple screens and can't actually see the dash anymore. And my last pro is the wow factor and that need for gadget freaks like myself that love seeing lights flash and having cool displays like this. So with all that said, on the rev scale, I'll give the Dash Meter Pro an 8 out of 10. However, for those of you out there who have wireless at home and have an Android device, I give it an easy 10 for the money. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Dash Meter Pro. The software is available from SensaDigit and can be downloaded right from your device through the App Store. It goes for under $10 and there's even a demo version available for you to try.
Welcome back to the show, and it's contest time. We have some Gran Turismo 5 downloadable content to give away, which includes 15 cars, 2 tracks, and some other goodies.
That's a lot of stuff.
It is. So what we're gonna do to give out this prize is we're gonna post a picture on our Facebook page. Yes?
Yeah, that sounds easy so far, huh?
Why don't you tell them all about it?
Well, we wanted to step it up a little bit, wanted to make it a little bit more difficult. So what we've done, we have taken a picture of our set. It is somewhere on this set, and it is a very specific location or thing on our set. We're gonna post that picture on Facebook, and you need to tell us what it is.
Yes, you do. And how will they tell us that?
Well, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Inside Sim Racing. You're gonna need to like us or like our page there, and then check out that photo, figure out what it is, and then post your answer right there.
All right, so we'll be taking all the correct answers, putting them in a hat, and drawing a lucky winner to win that Gran Turismo 5 downloadable content.
You know, you have these contests, you wonder who's gonna post it, because if somebody puts the right answer but they might be wrong, so be careful about what you think this is.
Yes, indeedy. All right, we're gonna announce that winner on our first show of May, and it'd be right out about around the 1st of May. So
The first This Week Inside Sim Racing show
yes.
of May.
Yes, so make sure you guys keep watching our shows and keep commenting on our YouTube page. We always love that. Be a member of our forums. Go on over to InsideSimRacing.tv. And last but not least, visit us on Facebook and like us and join that contest.
You know, you just mentioned the forum. You've got to get into the forum. There's so much cool stuff going on. That's where we found the link to the iRacing deals. That's where we find our sim rigs of the week. So endless amount of cool stuff in there already.
Yep. All right, that's going to wrap things up. I'm Jessica Lopez.
I'm Sean Cole.
Checker flag is out, and so are we.
Link in our forum that Teggy.
Say that again.
They noticed forum that goes to GT Planet where there's a
Just visualize it.
Wait, I want a little. Wait, I want a little. Wait, I want a little. Milan
Radividovic.
Radivojevic.
I couldn't for a second.
First that iRacing has.
Not what I'm
A link in our forums. A link in our forums to a long list of promo codes.
at GT Planet.
That was okay.
It's not listed on the forum.
Great to have John Hill back on the show.